time, I would certainly like to point out the building that we're in. You know, the new Weiss Center for Arts and Education has been reborn, and it's incredible, and it's a great community space also. And C. Becker, I was speaking with you last year, or in the springtime, we were talking about a meeting, and I was saying, hey, you know, the chamber was interested in some ecotourism stuff, and she's like, well, I have like 22 partners, you know, and she just started rattling on, and it's incredible what's going on up here. So we're really, really happy that we were able to get a meeting going, and that you were able to host us. So thank you very much. You know, Nancy Becker not only volunteers up here, but she's also with the River Public Library and so many different other places. She was just awarded the Jefferson Award for volunteerism. She took a trip down to Washington, D.C. and down to Trenton, and she's been all over the place. So, you know, I would definitely like to thank Anne and the new Weiss Center. And, you know, at this time, I'll turn it over to you, and then you can introduce all of your organization and then all your sponsors and stuff like that. And then we have a couple of others. We also have Amy Nicholas with us today from Nicholas Marketing. So Amy's going to be, you know, keeping a couple of ears on what folks are saying, what our presenters are saying, and thank you to all the different organizations that are coming to speak tonight. You know, we're also recording this on Facebook Live, and also West Milford, their local cable channels here, and Rocky from the Westminster Chamber is here too. So, you know, I'm going to turn it over to Anne, and you can start. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Hi. I'm actually going to turn it over to our board president, John Berry, to say a few words to get us started.
Welcome. This building you're in was built in 1931. It was part of a community that was built here starting in 1920 by the Nature Friends. So we use that as part of our name, the Highlands Nature Friends, to honor those people who left this beautiful facility for us. We have 152 acres. They had a strong sense of community, did a lot of volunteer work together. This was all built by volunteers. And also they had a strong environmental ethic, so that was important to us. And we're only about less than 2 years old. We incorporated in order just to take over this property because it was going to go down the tubes. It was going to be destroyed. It had been vacant for 3 years. And so this was a labor of love for us. And we named it the New Weiss Center for Education, Arts, and Recreation, in part because it had been Weiss before. The Weiss family gave an endowment in 1974 to create an environmental education center here. So that legacy was also important to us. But as time has gone on, and even initially, we really saw that this could be a tremendous community asset. Anne and Jill are going to talk about some of the partnerships that we've developed. People come up with ideas for use of this space. We have a community theater in here, lots of staff activities, and other novel ways to serve the broader communities. It's very exciting for us. I also serve on the board of the Highlands Natural Pool. The pool used to be part of the Weiss Center. It was separated in the 90s, and it was the same kind of story. In order to save it, some of us in the community got together, formed a nonprofit, and took over. We've been running that. And just in terms of the draw, the outer parking lot, which you probably were able to see in the daylight, that on weekends is completely full of hikers. A huge number of hikers come here, go through Weiss, and up into Northern Green. Huge numbers of hikers. The pool itself, in a good summer, can have maybe 10,000 people from New York City. In terms of hiking, again, we get bus groups from Philadelphia, from Trenton. So there are a lot of people who come to the area to enjoy the recreation, the hiking, and to make use of our facilities. So there's a lot of potential, I think, for drawing them in, and so that they can partake in the economy here and so forth. We try to use local businesses and contractors as much as we can. That's important to us. As I said, the pool draws from a wide range of people, the hikers that come through, and we would like to be able to draw those people in even more to the community, the businesses, the activities that are going on in the area. So the partnerships have been very exciting. So Anne was going to talk about some of the partners.
Is everybody aware of the Highlands Natural Pool?
The pool was built in 1935. It's 1 million gallons, 10 feet deep, It's 100 by 200, purely fed by the stream.
No chemicals.
When the Nature Friends built this community in the 20s, they had a little swimming pond that used to dry up, and they decided they needed a real pool. So they just looked for where the streams came off of Northern Green, and that's where they built the pool. So it's, all that water comes off of the mountain. We don't treat it, no chemicals. When I was a kid, they used to put stuff in there. We don't put stuff in there anymore. It's all pure. Although every once in a while, the local fire department comes and helps aerate it for us, but that's about the only unnatural activity here. So that's it. It's just like Wise. People say, wow, it's like the hidden gem. You know, people aren't aware of it. And even though we have people like, we have a new intern here, and she went to day camp here. You know, people, oh yeah, I was here when I was in 6th grade. But a lot of people have never heard of it. So there's still work to be done to, you know, develop awareness. Some of the partnerships help with that. We have a partnership with LL Bean that draws people in who haven't heard of the place before. So it's a work in progress. Very exciting.
And the Highland School also is always open to partnering with other groups as well. That we work together with them still. Our day campers swim there, and they host parties there. They can have special events. They do nature programs there. Again, playing into ecotourism, what people are coming from. So we also have a large field out there, and if you're a member of the Highland School, you can play volleyball, ping pong. They have a playground. They also have a very small but very beautiful garden there. With a lot of native plants, and it's quite pretty and maintained very well.
So Sunday the 1st of October is the last day for the food season. It opens Memorial Day, so you'd be welcome to come and visit. If you want a special tour, I can always give you a personalized tour. But welcome everybody. Thank you.
So I wanted to talk just a little bit about some of the things as Neil. Well, as Neil mentioned, he and I were chatting, and I was saying, you know, I was starting to think more and more about all the things that we are doing to, you know, bring people into the area. And I was finding a lot of times, I was wondering, are they coming here for our programs and then leaving? And what can we do to offer them more of an experience when they come here, and you know, also keep some of their business in the community. And as I said to Neil, we have to, you know, we agreed, we have to think of it not like town border by town border, because a visitor who comes from Paramus doesn't care if they've crossed from Ringwood into West Milford while they're kayaking on it, whatever. So, you know, that's why we talked about opening it up to multiple chamber of commerces. So, is anybody here from outside of Ringwood or West Milford?
No, West Milford.
You don't.
Oh.
Well, we were hoping. Well, we already have you sold. So we were hoping to get many towns involved. So the more that we work together and can provide a broad overall experience, I think the more successful we can be with ecotourism. Skylands has their Skylands Visitor magazine, and they have Warwick does a pretty amazing job with ecotourism, but we haven't really kind of had a coordinated push as much as I think we should. We have the natural beauty, we have all of the ecotourism aspects, and if we handle it right, we can be good to the land and still good to the businesses in the community. So that's what we chatted about. I hope this is just the start of many more. So I'd like to talk just a little bit about some of the things that we have going on here, so you can kind of get an idea of what we're about, what we have going on, the number and types of people that are coming here, and a little bit about where we're going. And John, chime in at any time, and I want everybody to meet our lead educator, Jill.
Hi,
And
nice to meet you.
she works here full-time. She's our first full-time employee. So, you're like, way. And we're thrilled to have Jill. She graduated with her master's this past year in sustainability from Brownfield College. So Jill, chime in if I forget.
Okay, no problem.
So here we are again. So Jill, our lead educator and our board of trustees. Some of you might know some of these names if you're local. Karen Zielinski, she's active here in town with scouts and things like that. Karen Ahmed, our vice president, who was very active with John in the very early days with this. I don't know that we would be here if, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be here if John and Karen and everything that they did to, keep it moving and not give up and, make sure that we got ownership of the property. Myself and Jenna. Some of our awesome staff, they help us with camp counselors in the summer and educators when we do field trips and other types of programs and events. So, you may know some of them. Some of you may know Brenda Frisbee. She's person. We also, as John talked about, it's our mission, as it was the mission of our founders, to be very involved with community, with mentoring, passing along the education and the love of the property and all that to the next generation. So internships are very important to us. We started right away. We're fortunate to have that endowment at Roundhill College that John talked about, and that provides us with 2 interns every year who work here, and they get a scholarship and a stipend to work here. And so that's a wonderful source of staff for us. They're environmental or sustainability majors. But more than that, we wanted to be open as a learning source and a mentoring source to others. So last year we had two high school kids. They're the ones over on the right from Kinnelon High School. Their high school happens to have a program, senior studies I think it is, and they had to work 25 hours a week for 7 weeks in lieu of going to school. So they are perfectly happy to come here, and and they built us a beautiful pathway that connects us now from the rain garden over to the archery range, which Al talked about. The ones on the left were our Ramapo interns for last year. They're complaining about sap on their hands there. And in the middle are our 2 Ramapo College interns for this year. We also count heavily on our volunteers. As a matter of fact, you'll see Orly in there. There she is. And we've been very fortunate to have a lot of community participation. We really felt like it was a community effort to get this place going and get it back up again. So everything from, just people that want to be part of the effort to scouts and local businesses. We've really had a lot of community support. People want to see us succeed and want to help. So now we'll talk a little bit more specifically about the things that we are trying to do as they relate to tourism. So we have the partnership with the Highlands Natural Pool, which John spoke about. We work together on some different events. We share a little bit of some spaces out there, volleyball, field, and parking, and they're wonderful people to work with, and they're also a volunteer nonprofit. So John talked a little about how many people they're drawing in here, so it's a wonderful opportunity. We also have a partnership with Bergen County Audubon. Talk a little bit more about that later. They are a very good supporter to us. They've been very, very generous. They've donated binoculars and field guides, and they also come here to do walks and talks. We actually have a Bergen County Audubon Society walk coming up. It's on a flyer back there. Is it? Was it October 23rd? So they've come here about 3 or 4 times so far, at least 3 times a year as they go to Skylands. We're just another place. Now they still do everything they did at Botanical Gardens, but now they do this here too. So double the people coming here for them. They come and do birding walks and nature talks, and they also can come here as they have to the Botanical Gardens to do the certified backyard habitat program. So we're very happy to be working with them, and we did have our property here certified as a wildlife garden. Al will talk in a few minutes a little bit about what we're doing with him, but we got together with Al early on, and they were looking to expand their successful outdoor discovery school, which you all probably know from over at Monksville Reservoir, and they were looking to expand in a place for archery, and it just worked out perfectly. We have our own archery range back there, and if you haven't been to see it, I hope you will. And they've done archery pretty much every weekend from, I think they open June. And they will finish either in October or November. It's usually Saturdays and Sundays. Sometimes it's 2 sessions a day, sometimes it's 3. It's very reasonable, $25. And they also have come here to do a couple map and compass training sessions. And as Don will attest to, it's vastly needed here. The other day, 10 o'clock at night, was walking somebody out who was lost in the woods, and I had to call the police. So the more people we can get to know how to read a trail map, the more enjoyable the ecotourism experience you'll have and the less chance we'll have to call on New Jersey's. And speaking of which, we're very happy to be working with New Jersey Search and Rescue. They'll tell you a little bit more about what they do, but they're volunteer. They take care of not just New Jersey, they go into New York and Pennsylvania. They have different committees, different types of rescues that they do. So we hosted them recently for one of their drills here, and we hope to host them for some more of their training drills. They get out and practice. We also had Al come, Stu come, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. And you came and did the summer camp 2 weeks, I think it was? Yeah. And there's Zippy, his rescue dog. And you can see Stu and Paula spoke to the campers. They were actually rapt attention. They weren't even fidgeting. They were fascinated. And so, we're very happy to be working with them and to support them because ecotourism can't really thrive if we can't take care of them when things happen. So, we have a couple other partners that you'll hear about. They'll be doing their separate presentations. Wide Guide, we'll hear about that from David, and we'll talk a little bit about the person that we're working with who is doing an aquaponics farming project. So we ourselves, through our own programs, do a series of guided hikes. Right now we're planning them about every other weekend on Saturdays. They have been pretty successful, and our guides, it's not just come and follow us. They impart a little bit of information about the trails, about the flora and fauna, and they are free, as many of our programs are, free or a suggested donation, and we're trying to, we need to bring in income so we can thrive here, but we're also trying to make sure our programs are affordable and that we can make them accessible to everyone. We are offering a variety of different nature programs. We have an owl walk coming up, a nighttime owl walk. We have the guided hikes. The picture on the top left was we hosted both New York and New Jersey Mycological Association, and they come and did their mushroom foray, and they were here for hours, right, Jill? Like 50 of them came, and we apparently have very good specimens in our woods here, and
most of which are not hidden.
yes, and they
Everybody make it out?
they made it out, yes. And again, as we're creating these programs and they're happening, I'm thinking these people come from everywhere and then they leave and they come home. So that's what, is stirring my mind, like what can we do? What can we offer them so they get an amazing experience? And we have something here to tell them now go eat here, now go shop here. So these are the kind of things that I'm thinking about. I'm from marketing background, so I'm always thinking of those things. Scouts have been very big here. They primarily from Wanapue and West Milford, and we've had some other towns come here, and of course when they come, their parents and their troop leaders come as well. We have 6 Eagle Scout projects, underway? Three underway and 3 in the planning. We've had a couple one completed? One completed. So we're very big with the Scouts. They do their camping here, they do their weekends here. We are teaching merit badges for Boy Scouts and working on the same for Girl Scouts. So we're thrilled to welcome the Scouts anytime. They also like to do community service, and we're happy to have them relate and help us out in many ways, and hopefully we can provide them with some good information too. A little bit more on the scouting. You can see the picture on the right. That was a Girl Scouts adventure weekend or something. There was 190 people here at the fire circle with parents and scouts from everywhere. It was a service unit, I think it was. So, and camping. Right now we're only open to camping for groups at this time. I know in days gone by, Weiss was open to anybody who wants to come camp, but from a supervision point of view and staffing point of view right now, we're just accepting group campers. Basically has to be parental supervision, and we're also an alcohol-free property, so that right away takes some things. Summer camps, again, is it strictly ecotourism? Maybe not, but they're coming here because we provide a nature camp. Jill works hard to make sure it's like an immersive experience. And they come, their parents come, and they're coming, of course, from the very local towns, but from some other towns as well. So our camp, our first year that we opened, we only had our opening day in June, so we were scurrying to get summer camp going last year. And there was like a week, I think we had 3 kids. So we got it open, and it was kind of a pilot program, and we went from having, 3 kids a week to this year, I think the average was 20 or something like that. So we're very happy to be running summer camps again. Jill is putting her own kind of twist on it, and it's been very popular, and I think we'll have double that next time. We'll do another summer camp. So, Adriana, I think Patrick's
My
got those
son
pictures.
enjoyed it very much. Hopefully you'll offer it next year for older kids.
Yes, we are going to offer both. We also we're doing a lot of field trips. Last fall, I think we had, 50 people, 40 people here for field trips? Something like
Yeah,
that?
I would say about 50 students.
50. And then from the spring through the summer, we had about 600. So, so it's really flourishing. Jill's already booking field trips for the spring.
Yeah, do you advertise to the school?
We do?
Yes.
Yes. We email,
Best
we
we
call.
know how to. Yeah, it seems that all the schools and school districts have different methods of distributing the information.
At different times.
At different times. So we're
We're
doing
still
our best
learning.
to reach out to them the best we can. Our objective obviously is to get as many students out here to enjoy the pickleball environment as we can. So a lot of teachers do word of mouth. Also, we have a couple of teachers from the same schools who have talked to each other and are really excited to get their kids out here. So
Yeah, and particularly with field trips, they're not just from local. Yes, we have got some local, but we had River Edge, we have Ramsey, we have Waldwick. We also are very happy to be working with, actually our first field trip here, with, we talk about Trial by Fire, was a large group of special needs students from Windsor High School. And they were as nervous as we were because they didn't generally do these kind of outdoor field trips. So it went very smoothly, and they've been back to us since then, so we're happy to be working with them. So a lot of different special field trips. We've also begun working with a lot of the homeschool groups in the area. So we have a winter lab series starting for homeschool groups, and that's been really successful. And something that is very important to us is the outreach, because we really see ourselves as a community partner. We don't see ourselves as competing with any other day camps. I think of it as, let's not worry about who has a bigger slice of the pie, let's make the pie bigger. So, we don't want to steal that person from you, we want to get people that aren't coming at all. So that's sort of our concept of let's get more people, let's get the people we don't reach. And as we often say, we think for a lot of our programs, our competitors aren't botanical gardens or the other day camps, it's cell phones. People's kids are home on cell phones and video games. That's our competitor. So we got to get them away from that and get them out to these kind of outdoor, environmentally friendly kind of programs. So, it's very important to us. We go to a lot of farmers markets. We do, of course, Ringwood or West Milford, but we've been to Crowners, we've been to River Edge. I've gone and spoken at several Rotary clubs, and I have to say that the West Milford Rotary Club was particularly supportive and generous to us. And next year they offered to sponsor a child for summer camp for us. So we were really appreciative of that. They actually would consider it for this past year, but we couldn't kind of put it all together. We had an Earth Day celebration, a National Trails Day celebration, and so it's very important to us. Yeah.
Is the park associated with the geocaching?
Well, we are
networked all over the world, really.
right. So we are separate from the state forest there. Yeah, but there is a geocache up there.
yeah.
There is a geocache. Yeah.
What is a geocache?
Maybe Al can explain that to you because I've been Al.
Geocache is sort of a hiking scavenger hunt,
Yeah.
and people put little treasures at all kinds of crazy places, and they can be the size of your pinky. They can be the size of an ammo box. Those are very popular. And there's a network of them. You can log on to a website, and you can see geocaches in your area, and you can use your cell phone or a navigation, says a GPS unit. And as you're walking around and you get closer, you follow the arrow, then all of a sudden the arrow goes over there. And you realize you just walk past it and somewhere over there, and as you get closer, you can nail it down. Usually you sign in to the geocache that you found it. People have a life list that they've about how many different ones they've found. Sometimes there are little tchotchkes in there, but the rule is if you're going to take out a tchotchke, you've got to give back the tchotchke.
Yeah.
So,
So I know there's at least one right here, and I'm sure there's other ones in the area, and people do. They make trips from far away just to find a geocache they haven't found before.
I have one particularly fanatical geocacher on my staff, and I will try and get her to just give me an overview of the number of geocaches within quarter-mile of here, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to be many.
Is it only state parks though? Is it-
No, all over the
That's
place.
what I thought.
They stick them under, they have magnetic ones.
Yeah, they can.
They stick under park benches.
Yeah, I know my
You
son.
kind of bus stops.
But I know
There's
that
7 in the Promise Park Mall.
It's great.
It's something we talked about as a possibility of
Absolutely.
putting it on our bylaw.
Well, there are rules when you're setting them, if you're setting them to attract visitors, there are rules about how you can do them, and most of them are being done for fun. So, but yes, you can do them, but there are rules about them.
Outside the area.
Yeah. So next I'd like to introduce you to Don Weiss, no relation to Weiss. And he is with the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference. And he's going
Hi, it's amazing to be in this place. I mean, this is like a time warp. The building was fantastic, by the way. I mean, this is really, you guys have done a super job. I remember 21 years ago, more than that actually, but I had been away in Europe for several years, and I came back to New Jersey. New Jersey's like this place that draws you back, no matter where you go. And I knew that I wanted to be up in this area because there was so much great hiking to do in the area. And I met up with some people who worked here at what was called Weiss Ecology Center at the time, and they talked me into leading hikes, and it was a great experience. I think 1996 on a fall day like this, and everybody thought that I was a spy from the original Weiss family because of my name and because I come from Wisconsin. But it was a great thing, a great time, and I've been leading a lot of hikes, and it's been a real pleasure to start working as a staff member for the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference like 6.5 years ago. So I basically do their fundraising, their hike leading, and all kinds of different things. I write books for them and that type of thing. I'm a total trail geek now. But the Trail Conference is an organization that's very old. You guys see anything? All right. The Trail Conference, like Weiss Ecology Center, like this building, was built in 1920. And it happened after a lady named Mary Harriman made a gift of land. Her husband was Admiral Harriman, the iron mine guy from the Robert Baron days. And he passed on, left all this land up in New York State. And Mary Harriman was motivated to donate her land by the fact that New York State wanted to build Sing Sing prison right along her property. And she said, if you don't build a prison, if you move it down to Ossining, I'll donate even more land to you guys. And that's when Harriman State Park and Bear Mountain were formed. Well, the Trail Conference and a guy named Benton Mackay, the founder of the Appalachian Trail, and other tramping clubs, as they were called back then, and hiking clubs, all got together in a lean-to. And it was a lean-to on the, well, it wasn't in the middle of the forest, it was on the top of the building. It's the top of the Abercrombie and Fitch building in Manhattan. And they had a whole bunch of lean-tos on top of the building. Other floors you could shoot guns and, fish. It was that kind of store, not clothing. But their idea was to build a trail network across Harriman. And at that time, the Trail Conference was formed as the Palisades Interstate Trail Conference. And they built a trail across Harriman and eventually built the Appalachian Trail across Harriman, all of New York, and all of New Jersey. And so the organization has been a volunteer-powered organization since then. We've grown quite a bit. The organization now builds, maintains, and improves over 2,100 miles of trails. We have a staff of about 20 staff members and about 2,400 volunteers. So it's a crazy job. And one of our favorite places is here at Norman Green and Weiss Ecology Center, where there are just fantastic trails for hiking. In New Jersey, we maintain 740 miles of trails, but in West Milford and Ringwood in particular, there's almost 200 miles of trails right here. So it's an unbelievable infrastructure of trails. We also do books, maps, kiosks, which tie in very well with ecotourism and advice. And we also create, along with our maps, we create what's called a map app, which has been a real game changer for keeping people found on the trail, because it's not a paper map, but one where you can actually, even if you don't have cell service, you can see exactly where you are on the map and whether you're walking toward the trail that you just lost or away from the trail you just lost. So it's been huge for those who use it. I have a longer presentation that goes into how to do it, but we'll skip that for now. This is where the trails are located. Most of our trails are north of Interstate Route 80 and on north through the Catskills. Right here in our own backyard, when you get to Mawa, Route 202, where our headquarters is, all the way across to Vernon, you've got this huge network of maintained marked trails.
Every red line you see is a marked trail.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you've lived in places like Ohio or New Mexico or other places like that, you just don't have this because the government of the United States does not fund trails. If you go to Germany or if you go to Ireland, they've got a huge network of well-maintained park trails and that type of thing because the government funds it. It's not that way here, and so it's kind of unique that we have a culture of trail lovers and people who care about the parks and that resource. In fact, nationwide, recreation is a huge industry. It's almost $900 million in total consumer spending on the outdoor industry, and about 7.5 million jobs that are directly related to the outdoor industry. So it is big business, and the thing about it is, it's mostly people jogging, running, trail running, hiking, and biking. So this plays very well into the trail network that we have here, which is partially foot trails only and partially multi-use. We do both. So just jump on to the next one. And the thing about it is it's funny. We have a cabin in Milford, Pennsylvania, and we spend a lot of time in Warwick. And it seems like the farther you get away from New York City, the more people embrace and capitalize on the trail users. Milford, PA has done a really good job, and Warwick, as you can see, just they market to the trail users, and they really go out and make their town a place to go after your hike, after your bike ride, or whatever. So we want to try and capture some of that stuff. So one of the ways that that can be done is through the Trail Conference's website. The website has this amazing amount of traffic. In 2016, there were 2 million unique visitors to the Trail Conference website. So we offer things like retail partnerships, which are free, and you can be a retail partner if you offer, say, a 10% discount on something. We put you up on the website and draw people to the store. Salon de David on Route 23 is one. Everything from hairdressers to bakeries to car dealerships. You can get a Subaru for $1,000 off because somebody's a retail partner. So it's kind of cool. Also, next slide, we have our newsletter, which is in the back, Trail Walker, and that goes to really the tried and true hikers. We go to about 16,000 people with that, and this is an example of the retail partner.
And Don, it's printed and digital, right?
Printed and digital. So the e-walker goes to about 35, it's about 35,000 people now, and the print version goes to 16. And you can also sponsor a trail crew or a work crew. We're working in a lot of places like Ringwood. And one of the places I should mention too, because Norman Green really has two parts. We're working north of Westbrook Road and a part of Norman Green where the trails are kind of They're actually mostly in West Milford, and these are in New England. But we're expanding the trail network there, and we're looking for sponsors for that crew as well. Basically, there are a lot of different ways we can get involved and work together. Please reach out to me, and this is how to get in touch with me. I have cards, and we can talk more about how we can work together.
If anybody picks up some of our literature that's back there, and if anybody forgets who some of the speakers were, you could always reach out to us, and we'll have all their contact information. So if you said, who was that again? How do I get in touch with them? And you don't have the literature, you can get in touch with us. Is it getting close? Should we close that door? Thank you, Dr. So let's see. Al, do you want to go next? Where's Al? There he is.
Well, it's really great to have a chance to talk to as many people from the area as possible. I'm Al, I'm the program coordinator out of the Premise Ella Bean store for Ella Bean's Outdoor Discovery School. Most stores of Ella Bean have outdoor discovery schools. And we do this, frankly, we don't make money, but we do it to share the outdoor heritage that Leon Woodbean was known for. And they do give me financial goals, and my long-term financial goal is to break even. If I can become net zero on the expenses, I'll be considered a financial success. We have 2 sites in this area that we've dealt with. Monksville Reservoir, we've been here for 6 years, and we now draw over 1,000 people a year there, and then largely because of customer demand, participant demand, we were able to develop archery, and we found this partnership here, which has turned out to be a great partnership for us. I think it's been mutually advantageous, and after just a few months of operation, we've had over 200 participants here, and see it as a partnership that I'm pretty sure is going to keep going and keep growing. This is sort of our dry land site, and Monksville is our water site. So at Monksville, we teach kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, and fly casting. And here, so far, we teach archery and mountain guns. So as we develop other dry land programs, we're hoping that we're going to be able to house them or host them here, because it's such a versatile outdoor site. We have our own corner of paradise over there with the archery range, the other end of that trail that they were mentioning. And we think we have sort of a symbiotic relationship in that we need a good place, but we can help bring people here that maybe wouldn't be here otherwise. One of the other things that we have, because it's a fairly large company spread out over a large area, if you lived in Massachusetts and were used to going to Outdoor Discovery School in Massachusetts, and you're coming to travel in this area, you might think, oh, there's a bean down there, we can look and see what their school has. So we get a lot of people who go to schools, outdoor discovery schools in other states who come here, and one of the things they do while they're here is look for what the local store has to offer. So we get a lot of that. We happen to be the 3rd largest of all the schools, largely because we're very enthusiastic, but also because we have the best sites. So at Monksville, we can paddle an hour-and-a-half entry-level paddle, or we can do a 4-hour full moon paddle, and you never pass the same place twice. In here, we have, and it's an exclusive archery range that is in the middle of a pastoral setting. We actually have wildlife coming and studying us while we're shooting. It's the coolest thing. All of a sudden, one of the archers will say, "Stop, wait a minute, look." And there'll be a buck sort of peering, "What are you guys doing over there?" And so it's been really exciting to do that. So in Monksville, it's with water sports. They also have some nice hiking trails. The Monks Circular is one of our favorite. So please think about that. And there's a beautiful archery range. It was a relatively clear site. Right over here is this huge boulder. I kept wanting to call it the boulder range, but everyone that I worked with wanted it to be the LOB range at the Weiss Center. But it's recurve archery, lots and lots of fun. Our classes start at $25 for hour-and-a-half classes. We get people from Manhattan, we get them from Pennsylvania, we get them from New York State, and then a lot of people when they visit their friends here or family here, we're one of the places that they bring their friends when they visit. So that's been really nice. Actually, I've done almost all that. I get going, and so the other thing we do is custom programming. So team building. We do scout troops, we do birthday parties, we do things that are drawing from a diverse group as possible. We're known for the safety of our programs. Every class, whether it's archery or you're going to hike with us, we're going to start out with a safety talk. Some of our people that are regulars can give us the safety talk back. Every once in a while that's fun to do, see if one of our regulars can actually do that. But then we do longer custom programming. We do private lessons, but you could have a group that wanted to do a day-long sort of paddle extravaganza. It could be, we had been working with one group to do both an outdoor scavenger hunt and archery here. We're still trying to think of the things that we can do. So if you approach me at the store, I'm the only owl there, so you call the premise store and say, can you do this? In most cases, the answer is yes.
And you'll find Al here a lot of times on the weekends.
My wife considers herself an outdoor discovery school widow. Because pretty much from May through October, I'm here Friday, Saturday, Sunday at a minimum, and then Thursday nights and other times during the week. So, if there's any questions, we really, really are passionate about what we're doing and trying to share it with as many people as possible. Yes, sir.
Do you have to sign up for the archery, or is it like?
Yes.
All
our programs are, all our paid programming, you have to register online.
Okay.
And you can just go on your computer, and you can, what you do is you go to our website, there's brochures back there, there's also a binder that has some little bit more, some little bit of swag and some other information. So you go to elbean.com/Paramus, click on the outdoor schools tab, and then you'll see our entire schedule, both our free programming in the store, which consist of Tuesday, Thursday, 1-hour classes that we call clinics, our free hikes and events, which happen a couple times a month, where we just send a leader out to maybe take someone on a birding hike. We're doing birding in State Line Lookout, which isn't close to us at the moment, but so we have them all year, and then our paid programming, which goes from May through October. And you can sign up and pay right on the website, and then just show up. We email directions and what you need to bring, and you show up about 15 minutes before the class you selected, and you're good to go. We also promote on Meetup, but it's responding on Meetup gives you the information. You still have to go to the website to sign up. Even for the paid programming, it's best to sign up because then I know how much of a resource I need to have. If we're having a large group, I have to have a couple instructors on a hike. It even depends on in the classes in the store. It's good to know that there are people coming, so that sometimes it's not an instructor that works in the store. I bring them in to instruct the class, and so if there's going to be 0, they might not come.
And if you go to the Weiss website, you can see we have a link there for that to register for LOB. And also if you look under partnerships, we have more information about what we do with LOB. So you can go to their site and get it, or you can come to our site and click through from here. We have descriptions of each class, what the minimum age is, how much it costs, things like that. So either way.
So aren't they a great partner? I didn't think of that. She did. So it's very cool. Any other questions? We still have archery and kayaking through the end of October. Our fall foliage paddles are very popular, and there's cider and donuts on the water.
Are you doing a full moon?
We have one more full moon left, October 6th.
Okay.
It's probably our biggest single program.
Yeah.
The Monksville Reservoir is comparatively really dark. And so, and if you time it right, I don't know if any of you know the Milford Reservoir, but it's almost 3 miles long from end to end, and it's shaped like a crescent. And if you time it right, and you hit the curve, but you can just begin to see the dam, if it's a perfect one, there's this half moon coming up above the dam, and everybody gasps, and the people in the back start paddling really fast because the people in front are gasping. It is so cool. And then, strangely enough, the moon chases us all the way back to our site. So we get off the water, and there's the moon. Came after us.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce you to David Blank. David's going to talk a little bit about his company, Midwide Guide, and
Thank you. I think John, I was the one that he was referring to when he said companies that are trying to do novel things. And he was thinking of us. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. So Livewide Guide was a company that was really born out of passion for New Jersey and passion for wilderness. And what we do is we bring companies from New York City into the New Jersey wild and teach them wilderness skills. So let me see everybody who, raise your hand if you know how to light a fire outside. Okay. Raise your hand if you know how to light a fire with a match, with one match. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, what if you only had 10 minutes to do it and you were going to become hypothermic if you didn't do that? Okay. Yes, I believe you, actually.
yes.
So this is what we do. Probably with a less kind of like frightening element to it, is that we bring companies, we bring not only like full companies, but we'll bring teams out. And then we also will do curated events for partners. I work with banks, real estate companies, and we'll bring executives out from different companies as part of a networking event, and also just to do something really, really cool, unique, and memorable with the group. So this is where I grew up. Did I give my name? I don't think I gave my name. I am David Blank. I am from Fort Lee, New Jersey. And this is the building. Soon to be Oakland. This is the building that I grew up in. There's sort of some trees over here. It's on the Palisades. The most I knew about the wilderness, we used to go out back in those cliffs and drink growing up. That's what we did. And that's what I knew about the wilderness. I didn't know that New Jersey actually had such amazing places like this. So when I started about 5 years ago, I got into nature and outdoors because I felt this like pull. I couldn't explain it. Okay, I watched maybe some of the shows on TV, but I felt this pull to hike and to camp, and I learned that on my own. So with the next slide, this was Al. You might recognize. Is Al still here?
Yeah.
Okay. Al, you recognize this?
Oh, Monksville.
This is Monksville.
Horse Pond Mountain.
That's okay. So
That's the Monk Circular, isn't it?
It's Horse Pond Mountain. It's
Okay.
Ohio Trail.
expert.
He built it.
Everything is a softball for you. Okay, so this kind of it took me about 5 years to really get comfortable in nature, hiking out on my own, learning different wilderness skills, camping, lighting fire, all this kind of fun, this fun stuff. It took me a lot of work. It took a lot to get comfortable. And what I realized at the end of this, though not the end of this, but really it's really the start, is that it opened up my mind, it opened up my awareness about myself and also about the world, and this great nature and this great planet, that we can make this a better place together. And I wanted to bring this experience to other people. And that's really the foundation of Live White Guide, is to bring awareness of nature to companies, and have that teach us things about ourselves as individuals, and vice versa. So we strengthen individual and team skills by delivering these unique experiences. Okay, so this brings me to Weiss, which I started talking to Anne, John, Jill, everybody here. It's such an amazing team. And one of the things that we connected on was, so my background is in finance and operations in media companies and tech companies, New York-based companies. I've been doing that for decades. So very high growth, usually venture-backed businesses that are crazy, just like full speed ahead, 120 miles per hour, like get done, get everything, So when I met Anne, she actually kind of felt that way to me. She, in a very calm and peaceful way, but a get it done type of person. We met about a year ago, maybe a little bit less than that. And it had a startup feel to it. And I was starting my business up at the time, and we connected on that.
Yeah, we were working on mold remediation, and it's all done.
Right. And in true kind of startup fashion, Anne's like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And I'm like, okay. And I check in with her every once in a while, and it's absolutely amazing. My first big hike was Northern Green, and I've always been attached to Northern Green. And this place was, no offense, but it was derelict when I was, not that you had anything to do with that, but I would walk through here and I'd just be like, I don't know what this place is here. I would go straight to Northern Green. But now, this is an equal attraction, and increasingly so. So what we do is we do these private events on the Weiss ground. And like I said, we're bringing companies, teams, curated events for our partners. And for example, we'll do events for VPs of finance, for VPs of ops, and we'll bring, typically, could be anywhere from 10 to 25, 30 people for an event.
Usually a full day too.
All full day event, and fully immersive. And one of the other things I'd say about working with Weiss is they're very hands-on. So I've worked with a number of different locations around northern New Jersey, and we work very, like when we say partner, it's not just a word, it actually is like, what can we do to make each other better? And so I believe that we're building an ecosystem together. That's one of the reasons I'm super excited. This is part of the broader ecosystem. So like, what do we do? So we set up a bus in the city that picks up everybody. This is like so amazing to me. Like, I can actually pull together really like senior level people in New York and like make them come to New Jersey and hang out before. When they show up here, I'm like, oh my God, these people like actually came to like light fires, build shelters, eat plants, navigate the wild without GPS, without map, without nothing, just looking at the sun and looking at shadows and looking at wind direction. Amazing, amazing things. Expand your horizon. They show up here. We settle them in.
And of course, the first program David had here, tell them what happened if they get off.
Oh, go back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this guy, so this is actually an event. This is done at Weiss. This was that fire drill that I talked to you about. This was a group of COOs that we brought out. The morning we got here, this first event, everyone's gathering in the parking lot. This guy shows up.
He came to archery
You
too.
guys might recognize
Same
him.
guy?
He was in the
Or gal? I don't know.
center.
Is that male?
Male.
Male. Okay.
Yeah.
But like literally, like where Al is, like that's how close to the whole group, and just kind of like Al over here, yeah, like kind of like right there, yeah, exactly.
I told David we arranged it for him.
That was about the proximity to the archery.
Same one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
same there.
So we have another event coming up on Friday And I said, we either need that bear or whoever was in that bear jumpsuit needs to show up again, because that just blew everybody's mind. I was like, I told you this jersey, man, it's wild. It's not just Jewel Piscatore. So, that's it. But, you know, like we like, you know, what we'll do, we'll chill out a little bit at lunchtime, and kind of just settle in. Like people from New York, you know, obviously very like dramatic. There's like jackhammers and ambulances. It's crazy there. So they're like, come in. We gotta settle people down, and they can start to be more aware of sounds, wind, all these things that are going on around them.
And, you know, I said, David, one of the things that I hope that might come out of this kind of sharing event is he has it catered. And we have great restaurants around here, so, you know, but he doesn't have those contacts as of yet. So I want him to meet the chamber members and the great restaurants and caterers that we have around here. And, you know, we could use them for his events.
Yeah, so like to that point, in terms of like the food, the coffee, photographers, skills experts, in all those things I talked about, all the things you talked about, anyone that is very good at leading hikes, natural navigation, any of that type of stuff. Other locations around the area that would be good for these types of events. I'm very open, again, like this is relatively, I started this up this year, it's relatively new. So I'm even if it was many years old, I'm very open, very collaborative, and that's one of the reasons I really like working with Anna, is because the part of the mission is actually expanding the ecosystem. So I would love to talk to you guys about how it can help you and how we can help each other. Thank you.
We're looking at all these things, and I realize it's starting to go long, so we'll try to move it. Keep it moving.
Some of us like to talk about what we do.
Okay, Jill, do you want to briefly talk about, this is an up-and-coming project that we're working on?
Yeah, I'll go quickly. So I'm the lead educator and camp director here, like Ann mentioned, and it's funny, the first time I ever came to Weiss and I saw the building out in front, I was like, that would be an amazing location for an aquaponics system. And then about like 6 months later, a really great guy, LJ Bartholomew, he approached us about wanting to start a business doing aquaponics and creating an aquaponics system that he could basically specialize to do. You could do it at home, you could have it at your local business, you could have it at your restaurant. So I was super excited about that, and he's unfortunately not here today to talk to you about it, so I'm going to try to take his place the best I can. What is aquaponics, if you're not familiar with it? It's a combination of hydroponic agriculture and aquaculture. Hydroponic agriculture, growing plants just in water, and aquaculture, growing fish and other animals that live in aquatic environments. And basically what happens is they get together and create this really great relationship and feed off of each other. The waste from the fish becomes the food for the plants become the water for the fish. It's a really great, yeah, no chemicals if you do it right. It provides a really great environment. It's a controlled environment also because it's generally indoors. It saves a lot of energy, it saves a lot of water. So we're super excited to be partnering with them. LJ provided us with some statistics on aquaponics. Like I mentioned, it's a controlled environment, so you get about 30% more of your produce than a traditional agricultural system. Especially, people might have noticed this season we've had a lot of rain, we've had a lot of unpredictable weather. So even at the farmers market, there's a lot of farmers who just don't have dependable crops because of those factors, and that's something that can be eliminated with aquaponics. LJ, I'm really sad that he's not here to talk more to the root of his business, but generally he, like I mentioned, wants to create a system that could eventually be scaled up or scaled down depending on what somebody would want to do with it.
So he's busy renovating that building out
There's
there.
a, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the building where
So,
you came in.
yeah, a little bit about the timeline of the project. They kind of jumped right in on the building and then kind of found out that the building wasn't really structurally sound, surprise. And they had to get a permit done and get some new drawings from the town. And finally they got that done, so they're really jumping in with renovations now. This is the building if you've never seen it before in the daylight or if it was dark when you got here. These are actually clear, so the sun shines right in. And in the future, they're hoping to install solar panels so that the entire system will actually be running on renewable energy. Oh, can you go back? Yeah, so they're ripping up the floor here because the basement of this is, it has the stone foundation. It has this really great basement that is perfect for a fish tank, basically. The reason to have it in the basement is it's really easy to control the temperature, and a lot of the fish that you would grow in an aquaponics system are very sensitive to temperature. So you can see there's some holes in the building. As we all know, the site was kind of left for a while to the elements, so they've been doing a lot of really great work over there. I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out. They hope to complete their custom design and install it into the building, and then hopefully begin growing things. They had a whole range of things that they wanted to grow, such as tomatoes, lettuce, wheatgrass, bean sprouts, all kinds of stuff. And I know that LJ and his team are still working to try and figure out what's really going to be the best system setup. Are they going to use tilapia? Are they going to use catfish? What kind of aquaculture are they going to be doing? So this is going to be a really awesome opportunity for us, not just for educational purposes, but also to engage the public in a new concept of agriculture. And coming from this region, West Milford, Ringwood area, where agriculture was for so long such a prevalent source of income, and there's a lot of preserved farmland up here, and it really gives us the opportunity to show people kind of like our new way of doing this.
We're going to have tours available for the public, for the school kids. We're going to bring people in and make an education.
Yeah, it's really going to be a great opportunity for everybody.
He's got more goals too.
He's got lots and lots and lots of goals. I kind of summarized them. Hopefully they'll have a full-size greenhouse eventually where they'll be doing lots and lots of production of produce. He's also hoping, we've talked about creating like a research type of incubator space for any of the colleges, universities, or any community members who might want to participate. Rather than renting out like a community garden plot, maybe you could rent out like an aquaponics shelf or something like that. So it's very exciting. If you're interested, yeah.
So I'll just very briefly talk about Bergen County Audubon. They are sorry they couldn't be here today. They're getting ready for their birding festival coming up at the Meadowlands. It's a huge event.
On October 7th.
October 7th, yes.
Yeah.
So we're very excited to work with them. They've been a very wonderful supporter for us, both in doing programs, giving us advice, as well as some lovely donations. They've donated field guides and binoculars for all our programs.
Bat houses, bird houses.
Bat houses, yes. So this is a little bit about their mission. They are part of the National Audubon Society. So if you heard John talk about New Jersey Audubon that we took the property from, New Jersey Audubon is actually not part of the National Audubon Society. They're a standalone. So we bought it from New Jersey Audubon, but there was really no connection to Bergen County Audubon, which we work with now. So they have programs, as I said, in Ringwood. They have many other programs outside of this area, but they do come to Ringwood and some of the other areas around here. I think they've done a talk also at the Laurelwood Arboretum. So they are coming to this area, and they are bringing people in for birding. This was them out right by our field with their binoculars on. I think it was in the spring or early summer. And they bring people in here for birding, for walks, for talks, for programs, and we hope to do more with them, and I know they do a lot over at the Botanical Gardens, and so, again, this is them bringing people in from multiple areas, especially birders. If they hear that there's a bird in an area, they're there, and they often stay a long time, and again, when do they go home, or what else are they doing in this area?
Yeah.
So
New Jersey is actually one of the best places on the East Coast for birders. Cape May, and then up north here, the reservoirs in this area are like huge stopover points for migrating birds, which if you're a birder, that's a big deal. So it's really awesome that they provide this access to that.
And So these are just, you know, some of the things that Bergen County Audubon does. They really have a very wide, you know, range. They do reach a lot of different people. And, you know, we hope that they engage more and more in this area, and they're very open to doing that. They're open to having new sites and bringing their programs and bringing people into areas that they might not be familiar with. Okay. So, let's see. What have we not got to? Well, we have to absolutely talk about New Jersey Search and Rescue.
Oh.
Keeping us all safe.
Quick introduction to our team on here. Let's go over if there's anything I can say. What's the news? It says News 12.
Yeah, just for reference of how important it is to have search and rescue, the other night at around 8:30, 2 hikers wandered into this building, lost, completely lost. They had parked on Glenwild Ave at Otter Hole. And I know, they followed the blue trail because they thought it was looping. And I was like, didn't you notice after a couple hours of walking I didn't make it back? So luckily, yeah, of course they didn't have a map. They didn't even check a map before they left. But luckily we didn't have to call search and rescue, but I did call the Ringwood Police to drive them back over there. So, but they're a very important resource for us here at White especially.
Actually, well, there's a second. What Jill just said about people thinking the trails are loop trails, it's so bad, the level of people not knowing about hiking, that we actually in Railroad Reservation have created a network of 5 different loop trails for the front country, just so people don't end up at the Ringwood Botanical Gardens and think, you know, that the Halifax Trail is going to take them back to Route 202 in Bergen County. Well, now they think they're all supposed to be that way.
Yeah, look what you did.
It's an ongoing education process, but, you know, I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to, you know, engage with all these people that come here and that are about to get lost. And,
Yeah, we could stop them here and send them to everyone's.
they walk up with sandals, no water, and it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We're like, that's not going to go well. But, you know, there's opportunity there. Maybe we have seminars and engagement. The Trail Conference does a lot. We just don't seem to be able to reach everybody, but we'll keep trying. Okay.
So we're going to watch a quick, rather than have me talk about what we're going to do, I figured one of the things I'm going to do is show probably a 3-minute video that if you could pause that just a second, that News 12 came out and wanted to know about our team. Our team is all volunteer. We cover the complete outdoor search from the minute the person is reported missing to getting them out of the woods. We have people on our team who are ground searchers. We have a medical unit. We have a mountain rescue unit that does mountain rescues, ice rescues, high angle, low angle, mid angle rescues. We also have a search management unit and a canine unit. I'm Stu Mavros. I'm one of the lieutenants. I'm also the canine unit lead. And my partner over there, who's resting comfortably, is our search canine. We're going to get to see what happens here right from the second a person's reported missing, right up until the point that they're found. And then after we see this, I'll talk about what we do after they're found. One thing I wanted to touch on, a few people were actually mentioning that when people come to hike in the woods, they ask, where can they eat? That's the second most common question I'm asked, either whether I'm out with an orange shirt, a search and rescue, or I'm also the assistant ski patrol director up at High Point. When people make the drive out an hour and a half or 2, and they've spent the whole day out in the cold, they're hungry. And they come to me and they say, where can I go eat? Close, because they don't want to drive an hour and a half to eat. They want to eat now. So that's what they asked me. The number one question is, which way is my car? And then they asked me, oh, and once I get to my car, where can I go eat? One of the things we're always hunting for as a search and rescue team is places to train, especially the canine unit. We can reasonably easily find places like the woods out here, but a lot of times our searches are for people who disappear from an urban fringe environment where they might be hiding in that thick woods area by the strip mall. So if anybody knows strip mall owners, operators, property managers, that's great because we can hide somebody right in the unmanicured 10-foot strip in the back and make sure the dog can work around those distractions too. Because the woods isn't the only environment we work in. We work right in town, and those sites are tougher to get to train in. So, Ann, if you would hit that, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
That's as loud as it goes. Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't have speakers.
Okay.
Okay. You better just talk as if.
Okay, so what we're gonna see, unless, is there a set of speakers? Okay. I wish that I'd known what speakers would grab this. No speakers? Okay, no speakers, no video, I'm sorry. So what we would have seen and what I'll talk about is what we do as soon as a person is reported missing, we can respond to support the local police and fire. We profile that missing person. We know based on what they were doing and what their mental status was and how old they are, we can predict what they're more likely to do, what they're less likely to do, and start developing a search plan that's more than, hey, just let's get out there and run around looking for them until we find them. We identify high probability areas, low probability areas, and we search the high probability areas first. And we use canines, we use people. Once we find that person, our team has a medical unit. I happen to be on it. I'm one of the medical trainers. We ensure that the person gets very good care, EMT level care out in the woods. We get them out, we hand them over to the local ambulance. If they need to be taken off a mountain, our mountain rescue unit can get somebody out of a harness into a litter with, if necessary, a broken femur, broken pelvis, whatever it happens to be, right off the cliff and get them handed off to the local ambulance to get them to the hospital. That's what we train to do. And if anybody is interested in seeing more about us, we have a website. This would have been good if we had sound, but I'm sorry that we don't. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them. Sure, go ahead.
Most of these areas, do you have cell coverage to some extent?
To some extent, and it depends on what part of the area. Sometimes down low you don't, but in the middle of the mountain or up on top of the mountain you do. But then the person goes out with their cell phone, which they were Facebooking or texting or sending selfies, and now their phone has been looking for coverage, in and out of coverage, using more battery. Now they run out of battery. So we might get there, we might have cell coverage, they might not. It just depends. A cell phone is a nice thing to have, but map and compass navigation and knowing where you are right now and which way is home is real important.
How does this cute dog know where to go to look? I mean, is scent or?
So what happens, he's what's called an air scenting dog. He doesn't sniff and follow footprints where somebody has been. He looks for where somebody is. So just like when we're driving through a neighborhood, if we happen to be in the mood for donuts or pizza and we smell a donut shop or a pizza place, we know we're getting close to it. And the stronger that smell gets, the more we know, yeah, I'm really close to pizza now. And pizza's my favorite thing to talk about. So we know we're getting close. That's how he works with human scent. The only difference is because of the way his nose is, he can tell which way the smell is coming from, where we can't necessarily do that. So when he's told to find a person, we're assigned an area. It might be between this trail and that creek and out a half mile in. We search that area. He's told, look for a person, any person. He's going to constantly seek human scent. Once he finds that human scent, he's going to follow that human scent to its source, which hopefully is the missing person. If not, it might be a camper or a hiker. But once he gets to that human scent source, he's going to bark at me and say, hey, yo, I found it over here. Yes, right here, come over here. And he's going to bark until I get there. If it's the right person, great, I get my hands on them, we found them, we can do the next step, which is to assess their condition. Are they fine and just lost? Did they twist an ankle? Do they have serious injuries? What's going on? And we can make a plan to get them out. If it's the wrong person, then we say, good dog, I'm sorry I bothered your day. Did you happen to see this person? This is who's missing. And we'll show them the picture of the missing person and say, if you saw them, let us know. If you see them, please report it. And then we go on and continue looking. Great question. Thanks. Anybody? Okay. Go ahead.
How long does it take to train?
You should figure 2 to 3 years. Some people can get it done a little sooner than that, and some people it might take a little longer than that. But it takes 2 to 3 years of roughly 30 to 40 hours a week for most of that time.
And what age do you start? How old are they?
The sooner the better. So I started his training as soon as I picked him up at Newark Airport at 11 weeks old. Our most senior trainee dog now on the team started a little over a year ago at about 9 months old, and we're expecting he's going to make it in just under 2 years. And he and his handler have put in huge amounts of time, done a lot of really good work, and it's going to pay off because he's going to get done very quickly for a dog that started late. Good question.
Is there a certain breed of dog that you would want to use?
So, you being me, yes, I prefer the German Shepherds. With you being the entire SAR community, there are lots of breeds that are successful. There's Labs, Goldens, a few of the terrier breeds I know people have used. I know Rottweilers, Dobermans, mixed breeds, cattle dogs, various breeds, and since most search and rescue handlers are volunteers and own their own dog, the breed you like is the breed you will get to be your working with. So.
Yeah, and another thing, Stu mentioned that they're always looking for sites to practice and drill on, but they're also always looking for people to pretend to be lost, right?
If people would like to come to a canine drill, that would be great. My wife is actually planning a December team drill that she might need a character actor or two, and I'm not allowed to know what because I'm one of the people she's throwing a nasty curveball. You can talk to her about that.
Yeah, Stu was saying they might do a drill here at Weiss every night because we do have all these outdoors athletes, and that would be a good exercise.
Lost company.
We could do a lost company, especially a lost well insured company. No, I say that in jest. We'd be happy to come out and talk to the people if you bring them out. And we'd even say, this is just in case. He's a great guy. He's never lost anybody yet, but just in case. And we're going to be doing a wilderness first aid class here at Weiss in, I think, just barely over 2 weeks, and I don't know if there's any spaces, but if anybody's interested in that,
It's 2 days.
a shameless plug, it's a really, really, really good class. You will learn a lot about how to actually take care of a person, and we don't always sugarcoat everything when you're doing the hands-on scenarios. If somebody does badly enough, I will say, you know what, if I was really hurt, you'd have killed me. Because when the time comes, I want to make sure that if you ever have to do it for real 5 years down the road without having practiced anymore, that you actually can do it. Because I would rather say, hey, now let's think about what we did wrong here, and let's figure out how it could go right so that we make sure the person lives. Because that's ultimately what we want you to leave with. And it's a great class, and it's here, and I think it's the 14th
On
and
the
15th.
7th and the 14th, it's a 2-day certification, 16 hours, and New Jersey Search and Rescue is providing an instructor for us.
I've forgotten what days it's going to be. I'm going to be one of the instructors at least one of the days. I just can't remember.
And the trail conference has also hosted and sponsored the same type of wilderness first aid certification. It's very different from regular first aid when you think an ambulance will be there in 5 minutes. So, and again, this ties in with the ecotourism, another way to draw people in. They're here experiencing the nature and the mountain biking, but maybe they'd also be interested, and they should, in learning this wilderness first aid. So we want to draw people in to experience it and also to make them safe and, you know, have them come to this area for classes like this.
Thanks.
So
This is
sorry
a great
to
thing.
interrupt.
It happens. That's life.
So I think, you know, we went on long, but we were so excited to share everybody with us, and Neil, now, we have a couple more people that would like to.
Well, I mean, it's 8:20, so we're going a little later than most chamber meetings, so I don't want to scare new people away from our next chamber meeting,
They're
because
not
it's
usually.
not typically 2.5
We do have
hours.
coffee if you need it, and some sweets in there.
Yeah, there's also a restroom there, but literally, Catherine is here from Botanical Gardens, the New Jersey State Botanical Gardens, for literally just a couple minutes. Ken's just going to speak briefly, and then Amy will be here to answer any questions whatsoever. But it's fascinating just hearing, you know, all the great things that are going on here. The amount of people coming in, you know, and going out, you know, is pretty incredible. So, yeah, definitely. So, Catherine, I mean, if you want to just better a couple things about what the Botanical Gardens is doing, you know, and
I'm not a public speaker. Just smile, don't you think it's So the New Jersey Botanical Gardens is here in Ringwood. Most people don't know that it's here. They also do hiking tours, they have garden tours, house tours. They did a summer concert series all summer, every other Friday from June until August. They do a concert, out in the grass. We were inside most of the time this time because of the rain, but it happens. They have the holiday open house coming up in December.
Harvest Fest?
The Harvest Fest we're doing with the Ringwood Chamber. What else do we do?
Manor tours.
Manor tour, yeah, the house tours, the manor tours.
Now, I was speaking with Dorothy yesterday, who's the current president on the board, and she was, you know, basically saying that, you know, annually they bring in approximately, you know, 4,000 to 6,000 people, you know, as just coming in and looking at the gardens and stuff like that. You know, that's not including folks that come in for, say, Harvest Fest, where they get an additional 3,000 to 5,000 people in, and the open house. So, you know, as a whole, you know, the Botanical Gardens, I mean, is truly spectacular. And
All seasons.
yeah,
And they do have school kids come in now for tours,
Education.
to learn. And the Audubon, they do bring butterflies.
Yes,
with them.
that's the,
Yeah.
I had that picture.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
They also do all different ages. You know, they give walks and talks for families, and I know coming up, for example, there's a large mountain biking festival going on.
It's on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we have a very active, if anybody knows Jorba, the Jersey Off-Road Biking Association, they're very active in this area. They maintain a lot of trails in what used to be jungle habitat and other trails around. So they do a lot of mountain biking events around here, and there's mountain biking guides. I know a few of them that lead mountain biking trips, just like a hiking guide, and a mountain biking festival. And one thing that I've learned about them, when they're done, they all want to drink beer or coffee. So, you know, again, we've got to like say, you're done, fine, and here's where to go, you know, so. And I know I keep mentioning restaurants, there's many other ways that we can draw them into stores, or where there's trail maps or whatever.
Just to clarify that Northern Green is not like.
Northern Green is not, but
Trails
Ringwood
are
State Park
strictly foot
is.
trails.
Right, Ringwood State Park.
We only get foot trails.
And we're all volunteers there.
Yes.
They're all volunteers.
Oh, and they come from far and wide for your plant sale this spring.
Oh, the plant sale is in May. I think it's like
And even though
around
the-
Mother's Day, the weekend before Mother's Day.
And even though they're the state botanical garden, unlike other states that do support, you know, their local arts and stuff like that, you know, it's fully funded by volunteers and patrons that come in to attend their events. You know, that was my first sort of experience with them last year, and learning that no, they don't really get anything, and they have to fight for everything. They have money for things, and they have to fight with the state to use that money to get in for things. So it is a great organization. Ken is actually a local business owner right here in Ringwood, Wanacue. He owns an outdoor store, and he's going to talk a little bit about the folks that are coming into his place.
Hi.
Tackle Field.
I'm Ken. I own Tackle and Field on Ringwood Ave in Wanacue. I'm a long-term Ringwood resident, but I'm a relatively new business owner in town, about 4.5 years. We cater to everything you talked about here. I support the fishing that nobody's talked about. I support the hunting, which Northern Green is full of it. We cater to the outdoors in terms of clothing. I have everything from ice to water to sunscreen to clothing. In my brief history as a business owner, what I've learned is I can't survive with a business from Haskell to Hewitt. I can't. I need people to come in from Bergen County. I need people to come in from Morris County. I need people to come down from beautiful Warwick. Get out of the Apple Fest crowd, come down. We've got nice things here. What I did realize after 30 years of business, I'm not a marketeer. I need a professional marketing company to help me. I can't stand Facebook. If I didn't have a business, I wouldn't be on Facebook. Can't spell Instagram. I don't know if it's an M or a Z at the end. But in 4.5 years, my accountants say I'm making money. My pockets say I'm not. What I did is I contracted with a lovely marketing firm out of Morristown. It's been a godsend to me to have them for about 1.5 years now. They've streamlined my business. They've come in, they've done my social media. They've reorganized my store to get better traffic flow. Something as simple as moving clothing from one end of the store to the other. To be able to look upstairs and see a mannequin. Hey, I have Carhartt. I don't have Patagonia, I don't have Under Armour, because I'm not going to be a showroom for the big box stores and use your points. That's not what I'm about. We sell high quality merchandise. We're friendly. I have certified archery people. We have NRA gun people. We know what we're talking about. We all live and breathe it. I sell kayaks. I hate rentals. Come in and buy. Use it on your own. Do the midnight tour on your own. You can get by, get a flashlight. We sell all this stuff. But I want to just segue this into Amy Nicholas from Nicholas Marketing, who's been a big help to me in growing my business and helping to bring more people over the mountain, down the mountain, and into town. I'm a big proponent of shopping local and bringing more people into town. No one's going to survive just on our own clientele in town.
Yeah.
So I'm Amy Nicholas. I own Nicholas Marketing. I cannot build a fire. I didn't do any of the things that you guys talked about, but I do know about marketing. So, Ken and I have worked together for a long time, and one of the things that you've said multiple times throughout this is how do we kind of all come together. So I think that everyone who's spoken today has had something to say about how great this area is, how much there is to offer, and how much really people come here. There is attraction here. But the question is then, how do you take that and build upon it as a business owner? And one of the things I haven't heard really is that there's any cohesion with any of the businesses that work together. And I think that that's a really big thing. So, one of the things that Ken talked about, we're talking about kayaking, we're talking about the websites that you currently have, we're talking about like all these different things that you have, but nobody's actually coming together. So that's going to be like the number one thing. I think that packaging for you guys is going to be incredibly important. So if you're corporate team building is huge. But corporate team building is huge, and it doesn't just need to be end at 4:45. The restaurant afterward, and hitting up Tackland Field, the restaurant afterward, and the local inn with breakfast in the morning is something. So really incorporating each other into those things that you're doing is also a promotion. I'm going to open it up to questions, but I do want to say that websites are important because the visual of what you're doing and what's here is what's going to sell it for you. All these pictures that you guys have, people are online, they're looking for these things to do. They don't want to just hear about them. But Instagram is a very visual medium that you can use. A lot of people don't necessarily know how to use it, but it is a very visual medium. It reaches a tremendous amount of people, and it's a really great sales tool, as is Facebook. You can geographically target people in different areas based on interests, and you can do that alongside your partners. So it could be as simple as starting a Facebook page that is a WannaQ Facebook page, and really incorporating all your businesses and promoting these things and then geographically targeting people. And there's just a lot of different things that you can do. I'm sure you all have a lot of questions. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, I've worked in television, I've worked in radio, I've also been a business owner, clearly. But I have an agency background as well. And I work with a lot of different clients. I have gun ranges, I have tackle and field, I have doctors, I have reference labs, I have restaurants, I have all different kinds of clients. So if you have any questions, there are some things that maybe tourism wouldn't apply to. So if you are, if you are a doctor of, like if you just are internal medicine, maybe being on, the map or the guide doesn't necessarily apply. But there are a lot of other ways to make it apply and work together. So if you guys have any questions about social media or how you can attract more people to your business, I'm here to answer any questions.
One of the things that people that do Facebook, even extensive Facebook, and if you've all been on the places around here, you know about the moms, the Glenwood moms, this and that. And one of the things that makes it a challenge is that there's so many groups for each town. And that doesn't mean I shouldn't do it, and I know it's a lot, but I do the Facebook and website for Rice, and we have tremendous success. We have a fundraiser going on right now, and we just looked at the data for it, and every bit of fundraising that we bought, you can look and see where the traffic came from. It's selling flower bowls, I don't know if anybody's interested. And we get a portion of the proceeds. Every single sale came through Facebook, even though we did other types of advertising. It's on digital signs, on Channel 77, posters is on the website, every sale. And you probably need somebody to help you. I can tell you that to promote Rice, I belong to almost 80 Facebook groups. And there's Ringwood Moms, Ringwood Voices, Ringwood Moms and Dads, Ringwood Wanacue and West Milford. There's Wanacue Voices, there's Wanacue Moms and Dads, there's Wanacue.
Yeah.
There's so many of them, and you have to look and get the tone of each one. I have a spreadsheet where I say what flies more in one than the other. I have groups I follow for hiking, groups I follow for theater, groups I follow for schools, and I have, it can be a lot, and if you can find somebody, a professional, to help you with it, you can really use it. But you need to kind of know what you're doing, and you need to stay at it, and you need to target it, but it's really, really effective.
Absolutely. So number one, totally joining those groups is essential. So those forums of people, it's literally like your neighbors are talking to your neighbors. It's not a sales pitch. So when you're talking to anybody on those forums, it's like moms are talking to each other. It's not like they will forbid you to promote your business if you're not doing it in a very friendly, like referral, like, hey, just want to let you guys know kind of way. So your voice on those forums needs to be very clear and specific to your point of like knowing what the tone is on each individual one.
And some of them are just, bitch forums, but that doesn't mean you can't put your thing out there and break up the bitching, So, but know each group, know what posts, go through and look and see what's getting the most likes, what's getting the most shares. It does take time, but at the same point in time, it's basically free. So it's worth the investment to find the different groups that you can make work for you. And you don't have to use them personally, but you can make them work for you.
So just as an example, so this year at the Tackle and Field Expo, the year before we did a billboard, and this year we didn't do anything other than social media advertising and flyering and a press release. And he had more sales this year than he did last year, not by a lot, but more sales this year than he did last year without having to make the investment that he made the prior year. So just to give you an idea, your cost per impression on social media is so much less than a mailer or anything else that you'll do. It is important to have a presence. So, but it's also important to have a website, because that's your storefront before anybody even gets to you. And there's a lot of different ways to reach out. I could go on and on and on, but if anybody has any questions, I'm available. And I know it's been a long day, but yeah.
I have one question. Trail towns.
like Sloatsburg, Suffern, Tuxedo, that banded together as an advertising block.
Right.
The Chambers of Commerce, the Tuxedo Chamber of Commerce, and all those banded together to do some advertising with our trail conference.
So it's almost like you, in essence, form your own tourism board.
Yeah.
Like, so you'll hear like Fort Lauderdale advertised all over there. So that's in essence the same thing. All those businesses come together and they raise funds to just really promote the town.
Yeah, they did multi-ads with multiple different businesses.
Mm-hmm.
What would you, but they were bigger, and, you know, Cold Spring, Beacon, and Carmel, New York also did the same kind of thing on an even grander scale. What would you recommend for smaller chambers to do? Like, let's say we're just Ringwood and West Milford banding together.
Right.
How would you recommend packaging that?
Well, I think it depends the businesses. First of all, it depends on who wants to participate. That's number one, because you have to establish a budget and you have to understand what first you need your voice. What are we going to sell, right? But I think we have an idea of what really the attraction is here. And the second thing is you need to figure out how many people are going to participate and what the budget is. Because advertising is an investment. You can make a small investment, you can make a big investment. But it's something you need to do. So if you don't tell people about you, then you're not there. A lot of small businesses, though, can afford a very small amount, and pulled together, they see the benefit on a much larger scale. I think that having a website is very important to lead people to, and that's great because each business can have their own landing page and directions to their website. Recommendations you can do. I mean, there's a whole list of things that you can do, but I think number one is to say, okay, who's going to participate and what are we really looking at?
That's good. I mean, we have the vehicle to drive people from the trails to the businesses, but we don't necessarily have packaging to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's it's definitely a good conversation, and it's great, like you said earlier, it's great that we've taken the first step to get together and talk about it as a chamber. And I know Rocky's here from West Milford Chamber. West Milford and Ringwood are very much the same ecosystem as far as what we're offering. We don't have people coming from Pennsylvania for our local restaurants sometimes. But we do have people coming from Pennsylvania and from Maryland and New York, all over the Northeast for our outdoors. So I know that the Ringwood board has been talking a lot about it and sort of gathering thoughts together. So I'd like to keep the dialogue rolling. So it would be good to take this and build on it.
What do you think about getting, at least for the two towns as a start, or for people of Bloomingdale or Rockland, what do you think about putting together a little committee? Because really, on our own, town by town, like I said, the people that come here don't care about who the town board is. So we need to be the area. What do you think about getting a little committee together to start some initiatives?
I think it's definitely worth looking at and getting out there, just getting a local ecotourism, partnership going with local areas. So, I know, I don't speak for my entire board, but I know that we would definitely be interested in looking and seeing what that looks like. So it has been a long night. We thank everybody for staying, and thank you, Amy, also. But everybody's around, so if anybody has any questions.
Quick question. Would it be possible for West Ecology to post ads or post businesses' names, or maybe post something on the trail as to where to go to eat or something like that?
We're open to those types of things. We would have to talk about, sponsorship and how we would do that. We are certainly open to some of those types of things. Unfortunately, we didn't get in early enough and follow your excellent lead over at the Trail Conference, where they have businesses, they named the buildings and rooms after people, and we could have easily done for a business that donates here to do that here, but we certainly are open to looking at that. I try myself because there's a ratio when you're posting, you're just into the time of day and how many posts. There's a ratio of the kind of posts you do. I'm with the marketing, so But there's a ratio of how many posts are asks where you're saying, buy my this, go to this, and that kind of thing, and how many display free pictures. And so you have to get a nice balance in there between not always asking them to come or asking them to buy this, asking them to see this, just providing information or pictures or whatever it is. Yeah, we would be open to talking about that. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of things we could do.
The last thing I just want to say is that just an idea is to bring in events that are similar of interest, like a mud run. Where it has like a following already, and it's got this like cultural following, and it's the same kind where people can appreciate what it is when they get here, and it'll open their eyes to what's already here. So events like that, where you're not just doing your own local event, but bringing something in from outside, I think would probably behoove the area as well.
No, I mean, just looking at our local area, and we could wrap it up with this. Going on here at Weiss with the new Weiss Center and all their partners that are coming in from all their businesses coming into this one to share. And then looking at Ringwood Manor, who couldn't be here tonight, but sent me some stuff when my phone died, and plus it's too late to talk about it anyway. The amount of folks that are coming into Ringwood Manor, the Skylands Manor and the New Jersey Botanical Gardens. That's just 3 tiny areas, Tackle Fields, we have the reservoir, we have the hiking, we have the woods. If you take our town and then you look at West Milford, I'm sure West Milford, they have outdoor areas, they have, state parks, so it's, really when you start looking at the amount of draw for ecotourism in our area, in our immediate region, it's not just the 3 local state parks and, the nonprofit in the state. There's a lot of folks bringing in people. So, I think the first step is getting together a list from our towns of who those people are that are bringing in and trying to get those folks to sit around a table together one day.
As a first step, everybody on their site should have links to the other. There should be connectivity. If you make it hard and you tell people, I want to go to the area, but you have to go check out 5 different websites, they won't do it.
Yeah.
Also, that helps with your SEO.
Yeah.
So, if you want to come up a little higher.
The Ringwood Chamber is just about to launch a new website, probably in about a month from now. And that's fully SEO compatible on the back end with every image that we put up, all the stuff we put up. And literally on there, our new website is going to be more for the town rather than the chamber. There's going to be a chamber side, members only, private entrance, but it's going to be a hub for the whole town of Ringwood to go to. And under there's going to be points of interest. There's going to be our local economy and what we're doing and what we have in here. But there'll also be an ecotourism tab in there. So all that SEO will be in there. So we're coming up on there also. So, for our thoughts, to get somebody to land into our website under ecotourism, I'm going up to, to the woods for the weekend. Bang, now you've got a whole host of areas here with linking and whatnot. So, there is definitely a draw, and it's just a natural beauty that we live in, that we're lucky enough to live in, and it's how to, get the most bang for your buck up here, So, thank you again, everybody, and all your presenters, and you guys are doing a wonderful job up here, truly.
Sorry we ran so long, but we're excited to share.
Yeah, and thank you all for coming.